All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Bungou Stray Dogs, Season 1, Episode 1. New show!
Yeah,
replacing Hajime no Ippo.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful show. But now let's go for another, show that's been around for a bit, but surprisingly actually kind of new also.
Right, because it got a third season recently. But
and also started coming out in the last 5 years.
Yes.
So
yeah. But as far as shows, I know really nothing except a naming convention about this show.
Yeah, I know
genre or anything.
Basically nothing about this show. It's one of those ones where I kind of assume certain things based on the maybe limited character design exposure that I've seen, where I kind of assume there's an action element to it.
Sure, maybe some kind of Bacano style,
maybe something where it's basically and this is kind of why I wore these. Well, you started. I'd love to know why I agreed that this is a good shirt idea is that I assume basically it's all about squads of people, like gangs or groups or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm
just
not sure.
Bungou Stray Dogs. It feels like a gang.
It does kind of
thing. Yeah.
Given what I know about the naming convention, I'm not sure if it's actually tied to the plot and a spoiler, or if it's just a thematic style choice.
Okay, so it's something that will very much get
it'll be obvious after
right
this episode. I'm thinking whether or not it's
okay. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
How important that is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm half expecting JoJo's style kind of thing.
I have no idea what to expect. I'm excited to get into it. But
okay. So, y'all, new show means here we go. Let's have some fun with it. So, y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right. This is our first episode. It's giving us a very just start setup grounding for here's all the characters that are going to be in a detective agency. Here's our main character and kind of his older brother, mentor, introductory person to the world, and then of course the put upon wife of Dazai, who's very much putting up with him, but also very much
trying to be the sensible
trust him to kind of come up with good plans and stuff.
Right, exactly. You've got the chaotic mess of a person that does pull through when it's important.
Exactly.
But no other time.
Right.
The whole rest of the time it's just, okay, I gotta put up with you.
Right. All right. And Jacob, so these are authors that are basically having their names directly just lifted and put into this story for the purpose of being a fun reference or kind of informing a bit about their character and what we can expect from them.
I feel like
powers,
it's kind
maybe
of a character type thing and maybe a little bit of powers. We looked up after the episode the main character as an author just to get
the main character.
A read on them. And first top book that we saw from them had a tiger on the cover and it referenced Moonlight. So, hence the power.
And that was a
fairly
reprinting into English of a book that's more of a collection of small stories.
Right.
But this guy was publishing things, Nakajima Atsushi, back in the 40s and the 60s. So
right. And hence
very much been around a while.
Little nods this isn't the olden day times, an orphanage isn't just gonna kick out one person because of a mouth to feed, right?
Exactly.
Which is, I'm guessing, then what actually happened with the author, right? And a lot of the situations and circumstances and little things that they had the characters doing felt very authory, in addition to just the actual script.
That was a really cool presentation way to showcase thoughts, but also kind of just boring exposition of. Here's their names and abilities. Let's just get that out of the way.
But we're going to do it with a fun aesthetic choice, and
exactly.
to keep things a bit more interesting. But I take fastidious notes and schedule out my day, and I go by the book and everything, and I stick to that regimen. There are definitely authors like that. And then there's also the authors that are all right, my life is over. I'm going to go jump off a bridge, Or the authors that are all right, I guess I'm starving.
I wonder if it's just a bit of dark humor in that Osamu Dazai just committed suicide.
No, I get the feeling that's probably what it was.
It's just like, oh no, well,
like that was one of the things that always was kind of like a dark sort of, oh, okay. Whenever as a kid I was like, yeah, I want to be an author, and then it's like this famous author shot themselves 32. This one drowned themselves like 41.
Like musicians are probably the only entertainer out there that takes the cake beyond authors of like committing suicide. Actually, it's really
that whole delving into the dark aspects of the soul for the entertainment of the masses and or enlightenment or betterment or whatever you want to call it, right? And sometimes that don't go that well.
True.
For a while,
if that's what they're going to do, though, we're getting Edgar Allan Poe then. No, like we have to get Edgar Allan Poe.
So straight up, I thought that Desai, before we got their name,
was going to be an Edgar Allan Poe.
Was going to be Edgar Allan Poe because literally
the crows. That was the thing when you said like, oh, the author thing. I was like, I wonder if one of the names is like Japanese because we're in Japan, but like the name is very much just. Kind of as close as you can get to Edgar Allan Poe without maybe directly.
Yeah, the sort of WAMU and
right,
SDC
exactly.
and that kind of.
But I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all.
Right, but I get the feeling though that that means we're probably like if we don't get people like Edgar Allan Poe or Hemingway or like at some point.
You know what it's gonna be, Jacob?
What?
You know what it's gonna be is that they're going to go up against like the villains. Will be the Western authors.
Yes.
That's what it's going to be.
And Edgar Allan Poe will, like, have crows and, like, swinging sickle, like, blades and stuff. And just be like, oh, my ability is,
under the rafters.
Right. Pitting the pendulum,
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is going to be cool, though, because I will probably get interested in more Japanese stories and stuff like that. Because I have read... probably zero in terms of like actual Japanese literature.
Oh, same. I can guarantee that like I mean if you don't count like light novels as as like literature,
totally.
Which kind of is not like classical count that, no. Not classical literature, right?
Yeah, I think at the very least there was at one point, I'm trying to remember if it was Monogatari or something else, I ended up reading a poem that was translated.
Gotcha.
But I think it was by a very famous Japanese
okay. Who knows? Maybe it was by
writer of some kind.
Maybe it was by Kunikida Dopo because he's the Dopo poet.
Yeah, Dopo poet. We're gonna like hold off on looking up just everything just for the sake of like potentially spoiling things.
In there, yeah.
Right. But as it maybe makes sense when the powers get fully unveiled as to what they do, and then also a little bit about the characters, because I'm guessing what's going to happen is. They spend a bunch of time on Nakajima or Atsushi. I think we'll call them by their...
Yeah,
so Atsushi, Dazai, Dopo, Akiko, Rampo, and Kenji. Those will be our...
I love, though, that specifically Dazai calls Dopo Kunikida because, it's the... They on a first-name basis.
They're tight.
Yeah.
But he's not into men like that.
That's right.
Of course not. That would also be another really cool thing to have, like as a thing, is that Osamu Dazai is like actually like
and preferences
super
of the
gay, like that would be
life.
like that would be like a really funny thing where it's just like I'm not into men like that, and it's just no, I'm not into men like you. It's
right. Well, or
I'm into this kind of man right here, very responsible, very much takes care of his husband.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
One of the other things that I'm kind of curious about is, given the fact that this is dealing with author names and stuff, what do you do if an author has a pen name, right?
Ooh.
And sort of like that, because
that could be a part of their power, maybe.
Right, because we got the whole idea of the power that comes from within the shadow that is not fully understood, controlled, whatever, right, and manifests and stuff, and how closely or directly that might just come from the personality of the character in this universe versus just being a reference to the author's works. Who's to say? But the idea of like, oh yes, my identity is someone else, or something like that could make for an interesting power.
Yeah, of the powers that we had revealed, we have Beast Beneath the Moonlight, which feels the most shonen kind of aspect in that regard. We have No Longer Human,
which is the other shonen one of I make your powers not work.
Well, right, but I think there's maybe a little bit more to it than that.
He did seem very zombie-like when he came out of the river.
I feel like what he has in some regard is something that can overwrite maybe the laws of a specific thing. So maybe subconsciously his power activates to protect him, and it's like, no, you will commit, not die now. And he's like, damn it, I was trying to commit, die. Ugh.
Right. And how much of the things like that are just character shticks versus like
right.
Yeah, something more.
And then Dopo Poet, well, he's writing a whole bunch of things down, so we might literally have our wizard here who's just been like scribing constantly.
Possibly. Well, and since all of these come from writers, theoretically any of them could be that. And
True.
And also, since they're writers, I love that the names, while very flowery for all of them, like I love the names for all of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them say almost nothing about the actual power. Like, there's Ultra Deduction and Thou Shalt Not Die. Those seem pretty straightforward.
Ultra Deduction means you're basically Sherlock Holmes.
I am big smart, right? I have the big thunk, and I figure things out, right? You know? Okay. Yeah. And there might be some supernatural aspect to it, you know? Yeah. Clairvoyance or something. And then Thou Shalt Not Die. Okay, we have our official support character.
We have our healer, yeah.
And of course it's the girl, right?
Watch, it's just going to be something entirely different where it's actually a torture power. Where it's just I will bring pain upon you, but you cannot die from it. Like, it's like, holy shit, you thought you were a support character!
Yeah, any kind of...
And she's like, it's the last time you underestimate the power of a cleric. Ah!
The very idea of a doctor that... if they were to, sort of just scratch off that do no harm,
right.
Rule, that would be absolutely terrifying.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Oh, that's a personal.
No. Obviously, I'm meaning it in the most wholesome way, just with regards to the power and
the wholesome way of doctor torture.
Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
But then be not defeated by the rain.
That's my favorite name of all the powers here.
That is my favorite name for them too, because I am definitely a pluviophile, like hardcore.
Me too. We're from Washington State, so
exactly.
Of
we
course
love
we
the
are.
rain.
But
what the hell does that mean?
What does that mean?
Like, while it is raining.
And he's kind of the Genki boy, right? Like, he kind of, like, bounced up on all fours with kind of like a,
Yeah.
Like, he feels much more kinetic.
Well, definitely kiddish.
Well, right. But that's
they
Genki
can kind of go hand in hand,
Yeah, they do kind of go hand in hand. So I'm really, really interested in his abilities because the name... If I had to guess, like, if I had to guess Mustang, right now, right. If I had to guess right now, the most simple answer is that he's a firebender. Like, and it's not a reverse Mustang. He's just literally, his power is just like, I will not be defeated by the rain. I will not be defeated by the rain. I will not be defeated by the rain. It rained. Oh, damn it! I'm defeated by the rain. Or he's a waterbender. It's just depending on what that defeated part.
I feel like it's probably somewhere along the lines. And as far as, again, since the aesthetic for the show so far, I'm very much a fan of. Right?
Yes, same.
Also having like the authors with their different forms of like dress and style and things like that. Even though it's a general modern day society, even though it's not our world, actually, Didn't
that feel a little bit like an homage to maybe the bit of the time frame kind of that they're in? And that we have...
like that the authors were from.
Right.
Yep.
And that he's from the orphanage, meaning that his is one that could be potentially the most out of time.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Yeah. But then because it's a stylistic choice, not like an actual like plot thing. As far as we know.
Oh, I mean, it very much probably will be on some level a plot thing.
No, but like not actually of them being the authors, but just as like it informs certain the ways things happen in the plot is what I mean. But
okay, I get really good kind of like classic kind of shonen vibes of the comedy. The main character being very aggressively kind of roped into the whole dynamic of things, so they can be kind of the reluctant hero for the initial bit as they begin to master their abilities. But then Dazai is the one where they're gonna go all in on his characterization. Like, he's voice acted by Mamoru Miyano.
Yeah, he is the captain of the group. So
yeah, he's the captain.
Like, he will probably get the most focus other than Atsushi.
Right. Yeah. And he definitely carries this contradiction.
Sure.
In that he very much wants to take care of this boy who might have died if they hadn't been there for him. But he's the character that wants to die.
Right.
So how does he value life?
Yeah,
there's a very unique contradiction there.
Struggle of like the artist, right? You know, it's the peering into the dark places of humanity and existence, but then also trying to specifically, by understanding that, bring about joy into other people's lives.
Sure.
Oh, although, unless you get into...
Now I kind of want to look up
unless you get into Russian literature, then that just ends up being like, all right, let's see how depressed we can make you, you know? Like...
Dostoevsky.
right, exactly, you know. Get ready, you know. But...
holy shit. I never wanted to, like, stop reading a book more when I was reading Dostoevsky just for my own, just like... I feel sad now.
Yeah.
I don't want to continue living. I'm gonna put this away for now.
But I would love to see. I brought this up before, but because of the Be Not Defeated by Rain, I would love to see a fight that utilizes Rain as far as the mechanics, but then also with the animation, because Rain as a style and a visual for something that's happening, I absolutely love it, both for just making the fight potentially complicated, because like, you know, footing can be a bit more treacherous and things like that, but then also the emotional, you know, like thing that it can correlate to, right? You know, of the dark night of the soul or something like that.
And I love the other thing about Rain that I think is really good for writing, actually, because I have done this, is I have put on ambient sounds when I write to be white noise. Rain creates the sound of white noise that is very soothing.
Yes.
There is a like biological evolutionary connection we have to water, that when you hear water, it can sometimes put you to sleep.
Sure.
It can sometimes just make you need to piss. It can also just sometimes make you feel very like connected and secure.
It is
because it is a cycle. It is constant. It keeps like, it's like the sounds of the seashore like lapping upon the sand. It's like
humans can't live without water, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So you know, rain is in many parts of the world, rain literally like dictates the life and death of the ecosystem. True. You know, so I'm very much looking forward to, you know, at some point, hopefully, getting like a really awesomely well animated fight in the rain.
Speaking of animation, this studio is Bones. You know, My Hero Academia,
which is
and
kind of cool.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yep. Soul Eater and
Soul Eater.
A whole bunch of other things.
I definitely got the Soul Eater character kind of comedy aspect, like with regards to when they would break into the more kind of anime or exaggerated, kind of simple, kind of like toothy kind of.
Yeah, the main character in particular, like, I know totally different stories and things like that, so it's not like it would be a reference, but felt very reminiscent of like Krona.
Yeah, definitely felt like Krona.
Like,
You're
like
right,
maybe it's the hair color or the kind of long shaggy look to it.
Design, kind of.
Yeah, a bit of the hair design, and then the,
you know, this hair is actually kind of animated, you know.
right, and then the sort of downcast temperament of, you know, am I worth anything? You know, would it be better if I was just eaten by a tiger and all that stuff? But also, this is something that I have to mention. I'm almost positive that it's not actually a reference, because this is specifically an American style of formatting. Okay. But the Armed Detective Agency, that the acronym for that is ADA. Now there's ADA and APA and a bunch of other like acronyms for that sort of thing, but that is a formatting style for references. For which would be where you would put the names of authors and other like
that's
like
funny.
books and works and stuff.
That's really funny.
So
cool.
And it's a like, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty obscure one, right? I can't remember exactly what it's like, what the ADA stands for in that one. You know, it's like American blah, 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 something. You know, right? Yeah. But I'm curious if that's like a little like, you know, wink.
Well, this show feels like the kind of thing then for a Japanese audience where it's like very like, you know, like
right. Having these kinds of nods that we're able to pick up on when we don't even recognize.
Well,
any
you were
of these
told.
authors. Well, right. I was told. Yeah. But like,
I definitely would not have picked that up without you saying something.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing where it would become a lot more obvious when/if they get to the villains that are the, you know, European authors or something.
Well,
like that.
Once they just get outside, because that's the thing. It's in some ways the sad and the best thing about literature is that you will, you know, have localization issues where just stuff won't be printed in your language, so
Sure.
you will never read it.
But things will be lost in translation.
Yeah, exactly. Things will also be lost in translation. But when something gets to that point where someone takes it upon themselves, and bless these people that do this, because this is not easy, to translate things into many languages. And sometimes a language just doesn't work as well. Sometimes one is perfect for it, where it's like, oh, there's actually plenty of words that fit for these types of things.
If I were to ever learn Japanese, one of the first things I would want to do with it is read the Monogatari light novels in Japanese.
Right, exactly. There's always that one thing where you're like, oh, I can't wait to experience this in its native language. Right. And this show, if this is the naming convention, very a la JoJo's, in that they would do musical artists for the stand names, and also just some of the characters as well. This is then a celebration of literature.
Yep.
This is a celebration of those that put forth literature.
Right.
So
of stories themselves.
That's awesome. So a story about people that wrote stories, but we're going to have them all have superpowers and stuff. And it's not Fate.
No,
it's not Fate.
Exactly,
not at all like Fate.
It's not mythic heroes from legend or anything like that.
And that's not even baked into the story.
Right, it's not baked into the
self-awareness.
The mechanics, it seems.
It's something where it's just for the audience, like and just for you guys.
And I am very curious what it must be like for Japanese viewers to just be like, oh, because I get the feeling that a lot of these are the equivalent of if it's like, all right, so I'm Ernest Hemingway, and I don't know, like,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
I know so many American authors, but yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.